Okay, let's talk about the Jack Smith hearing. Now, I didn't watch the entirety of the Jack Smith hearing. I watched bits and pieces, mostly because the Jack Smith hearing is, we were talking about like 5 to 6 hours of broadcast footage, right? And a lot of times you're just hearing the same thing said over and over. And a lot of times it's not even question time, it's more lecture time, where somebody goes up, they say a big speech, they ask like 1 or 2 or 3 yes or no questions. They then shut down any like deliberate or any like further details that can be given, and that's basically it. Sometimes that's useful because some people are very mouthy and they'll answer a question and then try to like, waste basically the person's time because you have a limited time slot to ask questions, or they'll try to obfuscate. And so I think if somebody doesn't answer a question, obfuscates or tries to waste time, shutting them down is good. But a lot of times it's mostly used to try to pigeonhole people. Try to catch somebody in a lie. Even sometimes you can see questions designed in a way as if to try to catch you in a lie, as if to try to see if they can bring some charges against you. Like they want to get you in a cell. And there might be an interest in watching it through that lens. I would only be interested in watching it insofar as we can get new information, because the Jack Smith situation and Donald Trump's pursuance of charges against the man in retribution for charges brought against Trump. And this is very open. This is very open. Susie Wiles was open about it in her interview. That's Donald Trump's, Donald Trump's right-hand woman. That's his chief of staff. Very open about the period of retribution they would give him to go after people like Jack Smith, that he has clearly gone over the allotted agreement that Susie Wiles tried to make with him as another failure in trying to keep Trump reeled in. Another woman trying to, or a man, there have been many failures, bi-gender failures, in trying to think that they can be the one that can be the Trump whisperer. They can take out the flute, go na 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 na, and they can figure out what Trump's doing. So if you want to watch the full hearing, you can watch the full hearing. But I want to concentrate on something that happened around the hearing. And that has to do with a January 6th police officer who was a police officer with the Metropolitan Police Department, Michael Fanone, who had a confrontation with a right-wing provocateur. And I don't know what else word to use. I'll just use the word provocateur. We'll talk about his history in a second. Named Ivan Ratiklin. And I call him a provocateur in this instance because I think what caused this was him trying to provoke the man. Knowing that the two had negative past before, that the police officer did not like him, and knowing where Ivan comes from as somebody who wanted to overthrow the 2020 election, as somebody who was a big proponent of the Pence card, the idea that Mike Pence could overturn the Democratic results and we could keep Trump as president, as somebody who was trying in the lead up to the 2024 election to try to prevent there being an outcome where Donald Trump could not be president. He's saying, look, if Donald Trump loses, we need to push the narrative that this was fake. We need to expose the fake, and we need to be ready. We need to be ready to do something. And he said he had a plan no matter which way it went. He was also a proponent of going after Donald Trump's purported list of enemies. This was a list that was going around of reportedly 350 names of Donald Trump's biggest enemies that are representative as the elite deep state that were supposed to be arrested by 75,000 former veterans. And considering that Ivan was a former Green Beret and an Army reservist, he maybe saw himself as one of these people leading the crusade, going to arrest Hillary, going to arrest Biden, going to arrest all of the deep state. I don't know how he has been able to take that view of this almost like QAnon level of we're going to flush out the system and, we have to we're going to revoke the results of the election. I don't know if he's grown at all since then. But I expect him to be the same person since then. But yeah, so they basically rejected the results of the election, and he was willing to help overturn it and lay the groundwork for it being overturned. And then after the election was over, he continued to push nonsense theories about the Jan 6 pipe bomber being a police officer and all sorts of hogwash. So if you're somebody who promoted the theory that the election should be overturned, that it can be overturned, and then afterwards, after it wasn't overturned, you try to do it all again 4 years later and say you have backup plans for if that doesn't work, what does that paint you as? That paints you as somebody who doesn't truly respect the peaceful transfer of power and would like to subvert it for your own political ends, for whatever means that you might find to keep your party in power. Now, these two don't have a good history. And so this guy, Ivan, he then starts to try to talk to Jack, to the Michael Fanone, this January 6th police officer that has been quite public about his opposition to how J6 is talked about on the right, how the police officers are demonized, how that he went there. He wasn't even supposed to be in DC that day, but his friends called for backup. He went, and he saw it as an attack on this nation's democracy, but also an attack on this nation's police officers, which is very different to how Ivan sees it, as somebody who was trying to paint it as, oh, J6 pipe bomber, that was probably a Fed anyway. Oh, this was all meant for good reason because the election was stolen. We had to stop it. We had all the right to overturn the election. We could have kept Trump president. Really subverting all these things that are basic foundations for a democratic process. If you subvert the peaceful transfer of power, then how do you stop that transfer from dissolving into violence? From rival clans who are saying, you know what, we won. Or actually, you know what, we won. We just reject the result in the election. Let's riot and let's see who can mobilize more force. We don't want to descend to that level. And when he wants to be part of a parade of men arresting Trump's enemies, he wants it to descend to that level. So that's what I think is probably in the eyes of someone like this Capitol Police officer that gives him that angry reaction to when this guy comes and taps his shoulder. The video that went viral was this angle of the confrontation. We're going to show you this angle of the confrontation, then I'll show you another one. Now, to be clear, Ivan is on the right. He is the bald fellow. This guy right here. Also, if you might have not known this, he is a close associate of Michael Flynn. You can see the militia boys behind him. Michael Flynn, of course, a Trump associate, but also somebody who did say that he wanted a Myanmar-style military coup in the United States once the Republicans were no longer in power. So, again, this guy wants to be part of some army reserve that go and arrest Trump's enemies, wants to overturn the election results, close associates with those who want military coups. If you were to imagine people going door to door, actively killing the democratic process, actively rejecting the results to say, the need for the right to be in power is too significant, this is the face of one of those people.
Treating these people that way. This guy is threatening my children, threatening down, raping my children, rape my children, you sick asshole. Rape my children.
Now, if you want to see the full interaction, now, of course, this doesn't show anything that happened before if they gave each other dirty looks or whatever, but this is what precipitated that interaction, filmed from the angle of Ivan, who thought this made him look good.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Ivan Raycliffe.
Fuck yourself.
Why do you have to swear at me?
What's that?
Why do you have to swear at me?
Oh, dude, don't pretend like we're not mortal enemies. Go fuck yourself.
Well, why do you have to lose your cool like that?
I'm not
I've
losing
been
my cool.
always professional with you.
I'm not losing my cool.
Every
Fuck
single
yourself.
time I communicate
Fuck
with
yourself.
you,
You're a
I
traitor to
am
this
always
country. Fuck
professional
yourself.
with you.
Well, I'm
and
not.
it requires
Fuck
other
yourself.
people to contain your Tourette's syndrome. Okay?
I'm not going to get from it. You've threatened my family and you've threatened my life.
Have
You're
I?
a traitor to this fucking country.
Why are
Go
you
fuck
so
yourself.
spasmodic?
Am I spasmodic?
Absolutely.
Fucking do
Look
something.
behind you.
Do something.
Why should I? I'm communicating with you and trying to calm you down, right? Look at your face and you can't even control yourself. You can't even be a man.
Trust me, I'm using a lot
You see how
of
many
right
people are constraining you?
Come get me.
Look at me. Total control over my mind and body. Total control over my mind and body, and I'm totally dominating you right now.
All I'm totally dominating you right now.
Sir.
Totally dominant.
Sir, let's step aside.
I'm not.
This guy
I'm
is
just
threatening
standing
my family, threatened my
just
children,
standing here.
threatened to rape my children.
Oh, really
Rape my
now?
children, you sick
Look at
bastard.
him.
Rape my children.
More people need to contain him because I'm completely calm, sir. Always calm. Listen.
By the way, can I just say, fantastic ad placement for Dropkick Murphys. Fighting Nazis since 1996, by the way, is what's on the back of that. Fantastic ad placement for Dropkick Murphys. I think seeing somebody get angry and saying, I'm dominating you, people get angry for different reasons. Like, this idea of, like, I'm cool, calm, and collected. Yeah, some people react to that like, oh, look how cool and calm he is. He must be right. That guy looks angry. He must be wrong. But someone could also be angry for, like, legitimate reasons. And when you're that police officer, like, if this guy got what he wanted, if I'm being honest with how I view Ivan, it would have been, January 6th would have gone differently in the way that the officers would have been shot. They would have taken the Capitol building, and then Trump would have stayed president. Then instead of Ashley Babbitt being dead, it would be him dead. If the orders of events went in the way that he wanted, I think that's the pathway he would have taken. You don't talk about being part of a plot of 75,000 men arresting Donald Trump's enemies. You're not partners with people like Michael Flynn, who wants a military-style coup in the United States and admits it at his crazy QAnon conferences. Somebody who can still have access to the president of the United States, by the way. You don't go around trying to overturn a Democratic election after losing like a sore loser and then trying to cite bogus legal theories in order to do so, putting pressure on the vice president of the United States. That culminated, the Pence card culminated in January 6th. People like Ivan have more blood on their hands and have done more damage to our democracy than most Americans could ever dream of, because it was the theories that he pushed that led to people thinking that they could do anything on January 6th. You wanted Donald Trump to be president. You know when you could have done something about it? November 3rd and November 4th or any mail-in date before that. That's all you could have done to keep Donald Trump in office, and you didn't do enough, so he lost. And that's what happened in 2020, but he couldn't accept it. And so instead, him and a bunch of other fucking cuckoo birds came together and concocted a theory that you could reject the results of Democratic electors with fake electors, switching them out with whatever electors you want, picking whoever you want to be president. It was ridiculous. Mike Johnson, though, was willing to back it up as far as to keep the president of the United States happy. Not enough to actually overturn the election results, thankfully, but enough to let you know exactly how much he's willing to coddle the president's ego and snub our nation's democratic lineage. When you talk about this dude, he is the front line in the war against democracy. He is the front line in the war against the republic. The dude is honestly lucky, considering what the officer went through, that he didn't get an elbow to the face in the courtroom. That's my opinion. That's not what should be legally. You know, you're allowed to just elbow somebody dependent upon their previous betrayal of the union and likely future betrayal of the union. Obviously, there's no legal statute providing that. But when you're talking about the morality of the matter, this man had to deal with more stress, and his partners had to deal with more stress on that day due to fools like this than many people in that room appreciate. And many people in that room appreciate. These are the type of people that the FBI should be keeping an active tab on. That's my genuine opinion. If somebody's talking about secret plans to go out and arrest Donald Trump's enemies and overturn the election, those are the type of people that, to me, are too risky to be around and too risky to have any influence on our democracy. So, of course, you get that negative reaction from this man right here, but I don't know what else you would have expected, considering his history. I'm dominating you. I'm dominating you. My God, man. What a good picture here. By the way, if it did happen, I'm putting all my money on the cop. All my money on the cop. I know those eyes. All my money on the cop.